Welcome into episode number 101 of The Voice Behind the Voice. I'm Sean Aronson, the TV and radio broadcaster, the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team in the Twin Cities. You know, we started this video intro last week here on Facebook and Twitter. Of course, if you just listen to the podcast, you don't see it, but you can if you go to the Twitter account at The Voice BTV and on Facebook, The Voice BTV. And then this morning, I'm getting ready for work, and I thought to myself, I can't put on the same sweatshirt that I had last week, because people will think, if they pay attention to that sort of stuff, that either A, I have no style, which is 100% true, or B, I just own one sweatshirt, which is not true. I own like 4 or 5. It's weird now that this is on camera and, you know, whatever, 10, 20, 100, 1,000 people are going to view this, that I actually cared about what I look like. Because if anybody knows me at all, zero, and I mean zero style whatsoever. And when I dress for work, this is pretty much what it looks like in the off season. It's khakis, it's sweatshirt, button-down shirt, and that's it. Very rarely will I wear a suit unless I have some sort of meeting. So that's sort of what went through my head here this morning. A couple of things before we get to this week's episode. I am locked in, and you've heard me talk about this before on the podcast. I am locked in to the Winter Olympics. Like, I love the Olympics. You know, I always ask these broadcasters at the end if they could broadcast any sport or sporting event, what would it be? And I've said before that for me, it would be the Olympics. So for the last, whatever it is, 8, 9 days, 10 days, I have been absolutely locked in on everything. To me, look, you want the U.S. to do well, but it's not the be-all to end-all. I just love the competition. I'd like to say at its purest form, but, you know, I know that there are some professionals in there or people have been around, but for the most part, amateurs that, you know, they don't get paid a whole lot of money outside of endorsement deals for some of these folks. But it's been a joy to watch. It's been a lot of fun. Last week's episode was obviously a big one with Joe Buck. If you have not gone and listened to that, be sure to listen to that and go back and listen to the other 99 as well, or, you know, see who I've talked to before and pick out maybe your favorite or someone that you want to know a little bit more information about. I got an email, and I got a lot of messages, by the way. Thank you very much for everybody that sent a congratulatory message, whether it be via email or Facebook or Twitter, congratulating on 100 episodes. You know, look, no one's going to cancel this show other than me saying I'm not going to do it anymore, but it's still quite an accomplishment to do 100 sit-down chats, nearly 2 years of this. I think it says something. I don't know what the mark of a podcast is in terms of the average amount of episodes. Again, there is no one that cancels these podcasts that are out there. It's just someone saying, hey, I don't want to do it anymore. But I received a lot of messages, and I wanted to read one of them, and I apologize, Greg Shore. I didn't ask your permission, but it was a very complimentary email that he sent in. So I just want to read this real quickly, because I think it sums up kind of what I hope everybody feels with this podcast. He said, just a quick note to tell you how much I enjoy your podcast. First of all, thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. I came across it about a month ago and now religiously listen to episodes each night. Baseball has long been my passion and hobby. I actually started a blog on the Phillies minor league system about 10 years ago. And along with the insight you provide in your intros, it is truly interesting and insightful to learn of the different career paths of these in the industry. With a son starting college and looking to get into the industry eventually, I have started him on the podcast as well. Keep up the good work and know that you are giving people an hour away each week from the rigors of real life, listening to an insightful, well-researched, and enlightening product. So again, Greg, I appreciate that. I hope that the research that I do for these podcasts does come across. I spend anywhere between 2 to 4 hours researching whoever I'm going to sit down with, no matter who they are. It does not matter if they're, a college guy, NBA guy, NHL guy, or a national guy. Now, if there's more information out there about them, i.e. a Joe Buck or a Sean McDonough or Doc Emmerich, whatever it is, you're going to spend a little bit more than 4 hours probably on them. But I spend the time, and almost to a man, to a broadcaster, most of these broadcasters, that's what they'll say to me. Wow, you really found some things that I didn't even know was out there, or you know more about me than I do. And I take that as a sincere compliment as I tell all these broadcasters, when you sit across from another broadcaster, they can always tell whether you've put the time and effort into whatever it is you're doing. They know about research, and that's the one thing that I want to get across about this. So I appreciate the email. I appreciate everybody else that sent in the kind words as well. With that, let's get to episode number 101. It is Al McCoy of the Phoenix Suns. He is the longest tenured broadcaster in NBA history. Not active, but ever. Like, he is the longest tenured broadcaster for one team in NBA history. And I mean, this is a guy that was born in the 30s, and to talk to him about growing up in a city or a town, really, of 300 people living on a farm that had no running water or electricity, what that was about. We talked about him getting a job at a piano bar. He grew up kind of playing musical instruments, but when he was younger, just to make ends meet. Talked about this great thing about doing a minor league baseball game and having it be postponed because of a swarm of grasshoppers on the field. And then the best part, what you hear in the tease to this episode, was the 76th NBA Finals, the Suns and the Boston Celtics, and a guy, literally a fan, passing out in his lap while he was broadcasting the game. There's just a ton of great stuff from Al McCoy, a guy that's been around for so long, has so many stories, and it was a joy to sit down. We sat down at the hotel that the Phoenix Suns were at, right across the street from the Target Center, and he was we actually tried to do this a couple of times last year. The first time the Suns came into town, we just couldn't. His schedule just was so crazy that we finally were able to get it the second time that the Suns were in town a couple of months ago. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, well, first of all, why have you not at this point, right? Have I not given you enough of a reason to subscribe to the podcast? But you can do so iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. The Voice, Behind the Voice, just find it. It's very easy. You can also follow us on social media, Twitter at The Voice BTV, Facebook, facebook.com/TheVoiceBTV. And again, you can always email me, thevoicebtv@gmail.com. It's been an interesting ride for 100. This is the start of what we hope are the second 100 episodes. Let's get to episode 101 with Al McCoy, the Phoenix Suns. JW, roll the open.
Here come three young guys, and they sit right next to me, and they have a big bag of 6 packs of beer and wine and chips and dip, and they're setting things up for the whole party. Well, when the game starts, I mean, every time Havlicek or Collins would hit a shot, I'd get, "Hey, how do you like that on the arm?" You know. Well, these guys kept partying with what I told you, imbibing, and when Garfield Hurd hit the shot that sent it to the third overtime, this guy literally jumped up and passed out on my lap.